Nazism and fascism. And the greatest example of this is, of course, his son. Streamer Destiny's son, Nathan Bonnell, tweets Hitler is a hero while praising Nazi Germany. The Nazis were protecting the West by invading Poland. The Reich was a blockade against the USSR and the rest of Europe. They took up all responsibilities of the failing Polish government, and they stated this explicitly multiple times. Hitler is a hero, he said. This kid is like 14, I think. I don't know how old he is. Okay, this is Destiny's son. He's been on the internet since he was a baby. And worse, he's been on Destiny's Discord since he was a baby. Okay? And of course, when you pair that up with just being a shitty deadbeat father who is way more invested in creating a cyber stalking sex cult, who routinely will align with neo-Nazis, tries to fuck prominent white nationalists and white supremacists like Lauren Southern, and you create a community of people who are from all of those different ideological backgrounds, and then you put your 7-year-old, 8-year-old son into that community. This is going to be the outcome. This is the outcome of someone who is extremely, extremely online. It's an incredibly sad state of affairs. That's it. It's probably a cry for help. It's probably a way to try and get attention from his father. It's really, really sad. He said it's because you and his dad kicked him out of your Discord. He's obviously isolated and it's kind of sad. He was in my Discord? Why the fuck was he in my Discord? Yeah, we don't let anybody under the age of 18 in the fucking Discord. What is it? What kind of stupid shit is this? Yeah. What the fuck? He mentioned me? He knows who I am? That is crazy. I guess his dad is psychotically obsessed with everything that I do, so but yeah, my point is this is another prominent example. This is another primary example of like when you actively design your worldview, as many people have, around attacking the left, attacking socialism, attacking communism, you end up pushing people who are in the periphery to seek out answers. And conspiratorial thinking works within the confines of liberalism so perfectly. And there's the grand conspiracy almost always, the grandest of all conspiracies almost always is Jews. Jews are the ones who are responsible for everything that's going on in society. That's why Nazi sentiment is so successful. Liberalism plays a formative role in Nazism continuing to grow as a movement. It is not an accident that after World War II, and I guess the historic battle between communism and capitalism, socialism and capitalism, led to the destruction of socialist movements of the Western world and the end of the USSR, and inevitably created an environment post 80s, 90s where left unchecked, capitalism created or accelerated the contradictions that is now collapsing the system that we have designed. And fascism is thriving once again. And that's where we're at. it'll take some time, I think, for people to recognize that the solution to growing fascist movements is not liberalism, but instead anti-fascism. So, Gorbachev and Pizza Hut, yeah, I mean, he fucking, a lot of the USSR leadership got one-shotted from the bounties of unlimited commodities that they saw, where they were like, this is the greatest. I love treats, which is why I've been an advocate for treat economy, and have long stated that I have no issue with luxury commodities or treats necessarily. I think it's an important tool to keep people satisfied. Anyway, I was raised alt-right and conservative. You've been a big part of my education and transformation to the correct side of history. I know it's discouraging, but keep going. You're making a difference. Yeah. Where was I? We're going to talk about the Trump summit, the suckmit, and what the goals were, what the intentions were, and who actually won and who lost big in the process, and what this says about where we're at. Yeah. So, the loudest and most powerful voices in this community are not in Twitch chat. They're outside of protests at the DSA convention, advocating for PSL, working for Zora and other campaigns. Yeah, exactly. They're labor organizers. They're people that work in the movement. They're not people chirping on Twitter. I think people chirping on Twitter, people chirping in the Discord. Let's be real. If you're doing that, then you're not busying yourself enough with real work. That's it. But it also doesn't matter. Again, because this kind of back and forth will always happen. There will always be people that yell. There'll always be people that get mad. It is what it is. But like I said, I think because the left is utterly powerless in this country, I see no reason to endlessly go back and forth on the minutia. You know? Just continue to be charitable, I guess. Oh, speaking of which, here's Gal Gadot. Claims Snow White flopped because the pressure on celebrities to bring up things against Israel rather than her terrible acting. This is discussing film saying this. That's crazy. Rather than her terrible acting. That's wild. Discussing film usually takes like a more neutral tone, but it's funny that like this is the one instance where it's like, nah, it's fuck Israel o'clock, and also Gal Gadot is a terrible actress. You can always try to explain with enough wine to fill the Nile. Khalil, no. You can try to give people in the world a context about what's happening in Israel and what the reality is here, but in the end, people decide for themselves. Khalil, no. Israel, no. Yeah, between the ADL adding America first to their list of anti-Semitic terms and the pro-Israel advocacy groups are doing everything to prop up anti-Semitic conspiracies. Yeah. In case you missed it, U.S. court ruling formally conflates a political symbol of a state of Israel with the Jewish identity, a conflation that is textbook anti-Semitism, which literally is textbook anti-Semitism within the International Holocaust Remembrance Guidelines that even the dude who came up with the guidelines says should never be used to legislate, even though everyone uses it to legislate, regardless of his consistent advocacy against this sort of thing. But of course, when it's in the service of protecting Israel from criticism, this conflation is celebrated. Legal group hails breakthrough as U.S. judge equates Israeli flag with Jewish identity. In the United States of America, it is a First Amendment protected act to burn the American flag. Wait, what the hell? Did I lose my internet? What's happening? It is a First Amendment protected act to burn the American flag, but the Israeli flag now is considered racial discrimination and not political protest, setting legal standard for future cases involving anti-Zionist targeting of Jews. You can't burn the Saudi flag. It represents Islam. Or even one step further, you can't burn the ISIS flag. It represents Islam type beat. Okay, great. Thanks. Yeah. Thank God we're protecting the real flag in the United States of America. So that's one aspect of this. The other aspect of this that I was going to talk about with respect to like anti-Semitic conspiracies intensifying outside of just like how susceptible Americans are to this kind of thing due to an endless sequence of Red Scare propaganda is shit like this. The executive director of Israel's National Cyber Directorate was arrested this week in Las Vegas in a child predator ring sting. This guy works directly under Netanyahu, so of course he was allowed to go back to Israel. This post of the video are from his LinkedIn. Yeah, Tom Alexandrovich was the executive director at Israel National Cyber Directorate. The Nevada Internet Crimes Against Children joint operation included detectives and agents from the ICAC Task Force and the FBI's Child Exploitation Task Force, which includes the Metropolitan Police Department, Federal Bureau of Investigation, North Las Vegas, and Henderson Police Departments. Homeland Security investigations in the Nevada Attorney General's office, according to Metro News release. For the record, this is what I was talking about when I said, like, a lot of these departments are still tasked with, like, combating child predation, for example. Okay? This is them doing the thing that they're supposed to do. This is, like, the one function of the police that is a good thing, objectively, that I think no person other than straightforward lunatics would disagree with, right? Those arrested were David Wanacott Yankee, 40, Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, 38, Jose Alberto Perez Torres, 35, Aniket Brajesh Kumar Sadani, 23, James Ramon, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They all faced felony charges of luring a child with a computer for a sex act and were booked into the Henderson Detention Center with the exception of Duncan, who was booked into the Clark County Detention Center. U.S. detains worker from Israel's top cyber defense agency for questioning. Prime Minister's office says incident resolved quickly, ending with brief questioning of National Cyber Directorate staffer before his release and return to Israel. That's right. Tom Alexandrovich, who is the executive director at Israel's National Cyber Directorate, was subsequently detained and swiftly released after being detained and investigated for trying to lure a child. I mean, what do you say? What do you say about this? What can you say about this? I mean, this is just like, what can you fucking say? Yeah, Felix says the same thing. He says, what can you even say at this point? Here's the full